giving up, or continuing to go and strive even during the challenges. Hello everyone, this is Andrea with Revitalizing Your Health, and today I want to share my most recent challenge. This last weekend, on Sunday, I challenged myself with a hike that our family did one time before, and I'd gone around 27 miles, and I decided I wanted to do that again, but this time I wanted to get to at least 30 miles. And I just want to share a little bit about the different challenges that I went through that hike.
So here I am at the trailhead and headed out. Looking forward to this great hike.
I am really grateful that at the start of my hike, my son and daughter-in-law went with me for the first 10 miles. It was a trail that was through the beautiful woods and by a lake, but we did enter upon a section where we had lots of mosquitoes, and that is why I had my doTERRA TerraShield with me. Now, this may not be as effective as some of the chemical stuff out there, but I don't prefer to put that kind of stuff on my skin, so I do use this, and it does work well enough for me. But we did a lot of running through that area for sure, and we just had a wonderful time together in those first 10 miles, and I so appreciate them sticking with me. Once we got to the other side of that trail, we started up with more elevation. We got about 800 feet of elevation within that first 10 miles, which is not very much. But then once we got to the other side, it was a lot more elevation. They took off and I was on my own, except that my husband had driven. Once you get to the end of the trail, it comes out on a road, and then we go around on the road. So he was able to drive to the trailhead, and then he would leapfrog. He'd go ahead, and then I'd go past him, and he'd drive ahead, so I was not totally alone, which I really appreciated. And now and then, he would stop the car and walk back and join me for a little bit, and I appreciated that as well. But there were some challenges. Once I started on the other side and we were going up the elevation, that is tougher for me.
Yeah, working on that uphill climb, getting in the elevation, around 10 miles thus far.
The elevation overall that day was just over 3,000 feet of elevation. So that's quite a bit for me anyway. And it made it tougher. And somewhere along the 14-mile mark, I started having trouble with my knee. And at that point, I could no longer run. I had to try to keep my leg as straight as possible. And I was so grateful for the doTERRA Deep Blue roll-on, because I use this on my knee and it would help relieve some of the discomfort I felt in that knee. But I still couldn't run like I really wanted to.
Miles and miles of road.
What it reminded me of is the trials that come to us. And it's like, am I going to persevere through this trial, or am I going to give up? I could just get in the car and drive home instead of finishing, or do I want to keep going? Well, I really prayed about it. Lord, please help my knee. Now, he did not make it so I could run, but he did give me relief. I had some relief and I could walk, and it wasn't too bad.
I'm definitely seeing some real beauty on my hike. Just about 3/4 of the way through. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I'm definitely sore, but I'm going to go through and finish. Looking forward to the finish line.
But that only lasted for a while, and then the pain would come back again. And what it reminded me of is that the trials of life are that way. We may pray and talk to the Lord about the trials we're going through or the temptation we're having, and He answers our prayer. But then we get it again and we go, what's going on? Didn't God answer my prayer? He did answer, but He also wants us to continue to rely on Him no matter what He allows to come into our lives.
Water's one of my favorite things to see on a hike. And I love the sound. It's so relaxing.
And so I would seek Him again about my knee, and He would give me a period of time of relief. And I'm so grateful for that. And He does the same thing in our lives as we're walking through life with the temptations and with the trials. He will answer and hear our prayers. He doesn't always take everything away, the bad part away, and give us all good. But through all that, we can learn many things. Now, one thing I had to do is keep fueled, because you've got to have fuel to keep going these mile after mile after mile. And so I had a good breakfast, a higher carb breakfast. And then a half hour before I started my hike, I took a dose of the plant-based protein that doTERRA has. And I actually did this I believe it was 4 times during that whole trip. And then other than that, I want to say thank you to my secret sister. Our church have a secret sister time where we give gifts to somebody and they don't know who they're getting the gift from. And then we will do a reveal. Well, my secret sister gave me these little bars that were just like dried fruit. It was apple and mango. And I used those for fueling on this hike. I also had some dried mango that I used for fueling. So I just did this protein and that dried fruit for fueling, and it gave me the strength and the energy I needed to make it through my journey. The other thing I did also while I was hiking is I used the doTERRA MetaPower Recharge, which is electrolytes. And I had some water, pure water with me, and I had my electrolytes. And that was another thing that I used that helped power me through those long miles. Another thing you need to have with you when you're out hiking or doing anything outside is some sunscreen. And this is one I used that worked really well for me. doTERRA Sun, it's face and body. It's 40 SPF, and I just used it on the back of my neck and my shoulders. And it worked really well because I was getting this, because the sun was beating on the back of my neck and I really needed that, and it was such a blessing. So near the end, it was getting really tough, but I was very determined to make it to my 30 miles. Then my son told me, well, Mom, if you go at least 31.1, that's a 50K. And I said, well, of course I have to do that. So of course I continued on. Well, about 2.5 miles before I finished my journey, my son joined me. He had already finished and he'd had a break time, and then he came with me and finished those last 2.5 miles. And it was so helpful to have his encouragement, because I was still in a lot of pain and struggling through, but I made it to the other side.
Almost there. Almost to 31.1, which is, let's see, a 50K. Wow. It's hard to believe I've actually made it. Well, I can feel it though.
31.2?
One more half mile.
So how do you feel after your first 50K?
Actually, I feel like I have plenty of energy, just my knee. And if I had been able to keep my knee, I would have done way better, but I feel pretty good.
Nice.
You were running quite a bit in the beginning, and then you were doing a bit of running, but yeah, once you lose your knee and you don't have a knee brace.
And in this life, we have many struggles and trials, but we have to remember this is temporary. Just like the pain in my knee was temporary, because I woke up in the morning and I couldn't even tell that I had had that pain in my knee. We're going to wake up someday in the morning, and that morning is going to be when Christ returns, and all these trials and temptations of this earth will seem like nothing. And it will be such a blessing, and we will know that all those things have helped us to grow so that we are ready for the kingdom. And I am so grateful for those lessons. So what about you? Have you done a challenge? And how have you survived your challenge? And if you learned some lessons through that challenge, I would love to hear from you. Share in the comments, or you can reach out to me in another way, and I would love to pray for you or answer any questions you may have, or you can share a comment. So until next time, keep healthy and God bless. If in any way you have been blessed by this video, please share, like, and subscribe to help me grow. And in advance, thank you.